Well, hello. This is Jeff Gaudioisi, and this is another edition of the Blues Fix on MisplacedStraws.com. And my guest today is synonymous with Texas blues. He's one of those musicians that you recognize from the very first note he plays. He's a bridge between the original bluesmen like the Three Kings and the younger generation of players like Gary Clark Jr. and Doyle Bramall II. He's about to release a massive box set chronicling his entire career, and of course, he's going to hit the road. It's a true honor to welcome Mr. Jimmie Vaughan. Welcome, Jimmy.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Doing fine.
Good. So let's start with this box set, the Jimmie Vaughan story. It's out September 17th, and it's amazing. It's over 6 hours of music from your entire career. And like every player, your style has evolved over the years. When you listen back to that really early period, the 60s material with bands like Storm and the early Thunderbirds recordings, do you hear the seeds of what your style became?
Yeah, you can hear it. You can hear it moving along and settling on things and going back, and I don't know. It's very, it's really like you usually have a head, and then in the middle, it's like an open book. You can do whatever you can as long as you can get back. Right. So it's really, I think you play what you feel at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and hopefully everything's working physically, so you can, you just have to play all the time, right?
Yes, and it just keeps evolving.
You have to play every day. I do.
Mm-hmm.
And at least some. And then there's a whole nother thing about, playing at the house and playing at the gig is totally different. So, you just got to keep playing any way you can, right?
Of course. And one thing that really comes across when you look at all the tracks on this box set is just the depth of collaborations you've done. I mean, playing with people like Albert Collins and B.B. King and Clapton and Dr. John, Billy Gibbons, and of course your brother and, many others. And I think more than any other kind of music, the blues fosters these types of collaborations. What do you get out of sharing the stage or the studio with these other amazing players? Do you guys kind of push each other to get better?
Well, yeah, it's really all of the above, and a lot of these people, I've known them for many, many, many years. So it's great to see everybody. It's like a family reunion every time you hook up. And how you been? How's it going? And blah blah blah. And it was great when I saw you play down there at so and so. You know what I mean? It's like that. So it's a lot of fun, and but it is mostly amazing to meet all your heroes and get to play with them. Is hard. It's almost indescribable. I guess I need to sit down and write a book, But
that would be amazing.
But you're still trying to play, so I want to play and play and play and play. So,
And even like at this point in your career, when you play with some of these other players, do you still feel that sort of, I don't know, I guess like admiration of playing with someone you respect, just as much as they feel the same with you?
Well, absolutely. You don't want to be you don't want to be somebody that has to sit in, you have to sit in with that you don't like. So you have to keep working at it, and it's really great to play with your friends, and there's always somebody new coming along. Look at Gary Clark. Like when I first played with Gary, he was 14. So
wow.
and he wasn't tall like he is now. You know, he was shorter than me, if you can believe that. But you heard that he had that thing, you know, early on.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I'm talking about that thing.
Oh, God, yeah.
When you hear somebody play, and you go, okay, they got the thing, you know, whatever it is. So.
Yeah, and speaking of like collaborations and things like that, I mean, I've had the pleasure of seeing you play live quite a few times over the years, and it's always different, you know, whether it was with the Thunderbirds or your solo band, or you got to see with the amazing Luann Barton fronting your band, and then you've also been out with the trio. Do all of these different incarnations kind of keep not only the road but the music fresh after all of these years?
Yeah, well, that helps a lot, and you're always looking for the next thing, and always, you know, one of these days we need to play that old song, you know, and you can always do all that, and then you have to keep learning stuff too. So it works on all levels. You know, sometimes. And I've found that if you have several different things going, that none of it gets old, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't get stale at all because it's always something different.
Right. So that's really important.
And I remember reading one time where you said that as a kid you didn't really see the difference between country music and the blues.
Right.
And you know, as I got older and began really digging into all of these types of music, I started to understand what you meant. And I think, you know, now country has kind of gone one way, you know, and the blues have different offshoots depending on where you are in the country. But right. I think Texas has always kept that country and blues connection the tightest. I mean, what does Texas blues mean to you?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that could be, but, you know, when I think of Texas blues, I mean, you have everything from Nance Lipscomb, Lightning Hopkins, all the way up to Freddie King, to, you know, and then all in between, and then the new stuff. So I think Texas is so big that that's, you know, I mean, there was always the record company in Houston, all those, what was the label in Houston? You know, they had Bobby Bland and all that.
Oh, yeah.
And there was always a lot of great blues guitar players from Houston and down there, you know, down there on the Gulf. And, but they had a lot of great ones in Dallas and everywhere else. So it was just all over the place, you know. And so when I started really getting into you know, trying to play Lightning Hopkins style and with my thumb on an acoustic or an electric, you know, same thing. There's just so many different ways to look at it, and you just keep sticking your foot in the water because you don't know what's going to happen. But you have to keep trying, and you have to play every day, you know.
And I think we can't really have a conversation about Texas blues without mentioning the recent passing of the great Dusty Hill. I know you've played with Billy Gibbons quite a bit, but do you have any memories of playing with Dusty?
Well, yeah, when I was a kid, there used to be a band. His big brother was Rocky. Did you ever see Rocky? Was a great guitar player, and it seemed like Dusty always played bass. There used to be a band in Dallas in the 60s when I was just like 14 called Lady Wild and the Warlocks. And that was Rocky and Dusty. And they played around Dallas for many, many years when I was a kid before Dusty got with Billy Gibbons. So I've known them for a long, long time. at least, I used to see them at the state fair. Like you go to the state fair of Texas when you're a kid, they let you out of school and take you on a bus, and you go to the state fair, and they would have several stages, and you would see Freddie King, or you'd see Bob Wills, or you would see all those kind of famous recording artists, just one after another at the state fair. So, right behind Big Tex. So, do you know who Big Tex is?
I've heard the name.
Well, Big Tex was a giant statue of a cowboy who had he would talk out of his mouth and raise his arm. And he was like 5 stories tall or something. He had a giant hat, and he was at the entrance of the state fair. And he would say, "Howdy, folks. Welcome to the State Fair of Texas," And so.
That's funny.
That was, if you remember DFW, one of the Vaughan Brothers songs that we did, we had that at the beginning. That was supposed to be Big Tex.
Okay, I was saying that's where I knew it from. Yes, I remember reading.
Yeah, but Big Tex was a real guy. I mean, he was a real thing. He was not a real guy, but he was a real thing, and you could see Big Tex before you got to the state fair because he was so tall.
Yeah, and so you mentioned that Vaughan Brothers record, Family Style, which is really just a legendary record. And in your career, it really wasn't until that record and after you left the Thunderbirds that you began to find your voice as a singer. And I think you have such a unique and now just kind of an iconic voice. Was it just the dynamics of the Thunderbirds that kept you from singing, or did you just not have any desire to do it until after that?
Yeah, I just didn't really care about singing. And when I was a kid, when I started playing, I had this little kid voice, and and I was listening to Muddy Waters records, and he had Muddy Waters voice. So I thought that my voice sounded stupid, so I never really started singing until I had to. And then it got to the point where, well, you have to sing now. And I was like, oh no. But it was encouraging, and it was something to work on, and it was a new aspect. And I still work at it and struggle with it, but I love to sing.
And you have touring coming up. You have some dates in September with Eric Clapton, and then you have some solo dates promoting the box set. What's your band looking like for those runs of dates? Who's going to be on the road with you?
I've got Jason Corbier on the drums. I've got Billy Horton on the bass, string bass, and Billy Pittman, rhythm guitar. I've got the Texas horns, baritone sax, tenor sax, and trumpet for the horns. And I got Mike Flanagan on the B3. Let's see, who did I not mention? I got a horn section with rhythm guitar, string bass, drums, and B3. So,
wow, so you're bringing a full band with you.
And myself, yes.
Nice. And like I said, I know you'll be heading up my way in October. I'm up here in Connecticut, so hopefully we can definitely catch you at that show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, unfortunately, we're hearing a lot about tour cancellations for the fall over the past couple of days and weeks. I mean, do you have any worries at all that you might not be able to get out there and play, or are you guys good to go?
Well, barring something that we can't foresee or, anything like that, we're planning on it, so we're coming. So, I mean, if we don't come, it'll be because we're having a catastrophe or something.
And I have to tell you, I mean, one of the great musical nights of my life was April 18th of 2015, which was the night your brother, Stevie Ray Vaughan, his band Double Trouble, were finally inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I was there in Cleveland that night. And you gave an amazing acceptance speech, and then you were joined, by Double Trouble and John Mayer and Doyle and Gary Clark, for Pride and Joy and Texas Flood. But it was that version of Six Strings Down that just brought the room to tears. It was stunning. What were your thoughts about that night and your brother finally being honored like that?
Well, it was great to see everyone and great to be there, but it was bittersweet, and I don't know what you say about losing your little brother. He was my little brother, and even though he was such a great musician and so popular and everything like that, he was my little brother. Like I used to have to. Like when we would go to school in the morning, I'd have to take him to the bus stop, and I'd have to get him to school and get him back home. So it's always it's happy and sad, and it's all things all at once. I
mean, that was an amazing night. You definitely made him proud that night. That's for sure.
It was a fun night, and it was great to be there with all my buddies and sharing all that and getting him into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That was nice.
So now we mentioned the box set, the Jimmie Vaughan Story. It's out everywhere on September 17th. They can check your website for everything that's in this box. I mean, it really is an incredible package and a limited one at that. Any idea what's next down the road? Do you see yourself eventually going in and making another studio record?
I'm going to make another studio. I'm writing songs right now, and I don't know how long it'll be, but after this tour, probably next year I'll start recording. After I do my gigs this year, and we see what happens, I'm sure I'm going to go in the studio. So I need to make a studio album next, a new album.
Well, we definitely look forward to it. We've been spending some time here with just the legendary Jimmie Vaughan. The new box set is called The Jimmie Vaughan Story. It's out everywhere September 17th. He's hitting the road through September in the Southeast with Eric Clapton, and then will be up around this area in the Northeast in October on his own. And hopefully we'll catch you when you hit it here in Hartford at the beginning of October. And Jimmie, just thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Well, thank you very much. I really enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you.
We'll see you then. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yep.